All right. And finally, the fourth KPI, pricing power. What is it? What it is? So, can your brand actually take price increases? I just talked about this earlier, and still keep growing unit volume sales. That would be a rare thing in CPG because it doesn't happen often. It is the power position, and it does happen. It does happen when you start at a relatively low premium, build a brand that's really powerful, and you have a lot of organic velocity increase. And then you apply consumer marketing to infiltrate popular culture with your icon to be. So, most iconic CPG brands that you and I grew up eating, they can take limited price increases and maybe, they're not going to suffer a big volume decline. So, I'm thinking Oreo, Lay's, Pringles, those kinds of iconic brands. They're pretty strong. Yes, they're old, but they're strong. They've been kept relevant with consumer marketing efforts. And so their vulnerability to price increasing is minimal. Now, the average holding company brand is not that powerful, doesn't have a big marketing budget, and it isn't cool. And so those are the ones that are going to suffer volume declines by taking inflation mitigating pricing. Right. So if inflation accumulates or accelerates, it's going to be the weaker brands in a large holding company that are going to get wackadoodled on a profitability basis because if they try to take the price increase, volume is going to go down at an above average rate. And so it may, unfortunately, nullify the power of that price increase. Although there are situations where that's not true. There's some financial alchemy that can be played. In my experience, the pricing power, and I'm going to show you how to measure it here in 2 seconds, is strongest for massive icons that are the ones you can recall when I tell you to name super brands that are from the past, and fast growing emerging brands, especially those that are embedded in popular culture. All right, so those are going to be marketing forward kind of brand. Pricing power, baby. So you can do a price elasticity analysis if you'd like. That's going to be slightly different than what I'm doing here. This is going to be something you can just do in Excel pretty simply using the Corel Excel functions correlation. You're correlating the changes going on, periodized changes going on in 2 arrays of data. And each column should be periodized the same way. So quads or whatever you want to do, or weeks. And what you're doing here is comparing base price. That's that projected algorithmically derived base price from Nielsen or IRI and its change over time, right? And that's going to reflect price increase actions beautifully. It's eliminating the effect of it's not going to include promotion. So, and that's why we're using base here. And then the other array, the other column you can use is EQ units using the same periodization. So you line those 2 columns up going in the same direction and do a Corel function against those 2 columns. And what you want is a number that's really close to a +1, because that means as equivalent unit volume, ounces grows, despite increases in the base price in the column next door, right? That's what you want. Like, wow. So, boopa. And yes, that is a real data point. That is the highest performing brand I've ever measured in my delightful client roster. But to be fair, and to take a pot shot at this blinded brand, the category isn't doing that bad at plus 0.53. So this is an example of a category that is brand forward, where brands have power on it. Now, a lot of that has to do with the power of this guy over here. Haloing back on to the category, which has become a sucker. So this is a really simple way to look at pricing power, as long as you can pull the base price data and the EQ units. There's Tony Hawk, man. Don't sue me from using your 7-year-old picture that I scraped from an internet site, and I'm in so trouble. All right. Pricing power, what's it for? Well, it's really a test of your marketing team's work. Boy, you didn't see that coming, did you? Now, the smart people on this course saw it coming. They knew I was headed with this. But it is, because this is how you increase pricing power. You increase it through the cultural power of your brand. And you might be suspicious that a cultural anthropologist is claiming that cultural power can confer back onto the symbol and it's pricing power, but it's true. It is. Come on. Pricing is irrational. It's not rational at all. All right. Now, and this is what your pricing power, this is what your pricing analyst should look like. No, I'm just kidding. If the US shifts into permanent stagflation, this dynamic becomes ever more powerful to master with modern marketing, right? Because if we have 4% inflation for years, twice what it historically has been up until the pandemic, right? If that's where we go, y'all gonna be taking price increases a lot more frequently just to survive, because it's what it bees. So your production costs will be increasing at a slightly faster rate in that kind of world. And therefore, you're going to need stronger brands with more cultural power, which means you're going to have to be doing more effective consumer marketing earlier than before. And of course, nobody wants to believe what I'm saying could ever become true because they all want to go back to the 0% interest cuddly bosom of 2012. Next.